Sì, però mi ha andato.
Oh guys, something's very concerning and scary is going on in Italy at Campi Flegrei, the supervolcano that spans more than 100 kilometers over the area of the little fishing town of Pozzuoli into the greater Naples area and into the sea. So what is happening? There's an earthquake swarm going on that is massive. Not only the amount of earthquakes is massive, guys, also the height, the magnitude of these earthquakes is crazy high compared to what has happened in the past and what has been recorded in the past. We will talk about this and figure this. If you've been watching my channel, you're telling me in your other countries, well, we don't hear anything about this. Well, even the American news outlets did report about this. So imagine this, they did stop to bash each other's candidates and they really did report about Italy. See a small clip here. So the Vesuvius Observatory, you know, this is an area, Campi Flegrei, that's in southern Italy. Naples, a city of more than 3 million people, basically lies in the middle of Campi Flegrei and Vesuvius. Vesuvius can be a monster, you know, when it destroyed Pompeii, and it can cause something that's really, really devastating. Check out my video about this. I'll urge you to watch this. So Naples is in the middle of this. So Campi Flegrei is even more dangerous than Vesuvius. But until the 2000s, people didn't know that. They thought Vesuvius is the problem. Because if you look at the aerial pictures, Campi Flegrei doesn't look like a typical volcano, like that crater, this cone. It's spread out. It's spread out so far that it looks like hilly areas, and that's why people did settle right on it. It's not erupting on a regular basis. So people, for a long time, they didn't even know. So they were building in these calderas, in these solfataras, how it's called, and not knowing what could happen. And that's why it is so dangerous. And another problem, this is an ancient area with old buildings, Naples, narrow streets, old stone buildings. They are not built to any earthquake codes or anything. Same with the fishing town of Pozzuoli. So when they're rattled by these earthquakes, these old homes are prone to collapse. And let's imagine there would be a volcanic eruption, let it be small, medium, or a super volcanic eruption that would be devastating for Europe and even the whole world, creating mini ice ages, blocking the sun, food shortages. So these narrow roads to evacuate, it's not like in the US, straight streets, north, south, east, west, multi-lane. No, this is an old ancient area. So these roads are narrow and winding. So it's impossible to evacuate that many people in such a short period of time. There will be an earthquake swarm before an eruption. We've seen this, if you follow my channel, in Iceland on a much smaller scale and less dangerous. But if the magma gets on its way, trying to grind its way to the surface, it comes with rumbling earthquakes, because it's like a mining operation underground. It needs to dig the tunnels to get to the surface. So there is an earthquake swarm, and depending on how far the magma needs to go to reach the surface, that determines your warning time. So if it doesn't have to travel too far, you might only have hours. In Iceland, we're waiting for the next eruption. The warning time is 30 minutes or less, probably zero like last time. So we have a magma chamber that has just been confirmed by a groundbreaking new study. Check out my video about this. I'll explain it in detail what the scientists did, and it's absolutely great. They have confirmed that there is magma closer to the surface than they previously thought. So it doesn't need to go as far to reach the surface than they previously thought. And they have confirmed that magma is present at a depth of roughly 4.5 kilometers. So it doesn't need to go up very far. We're talking about a few hours warning time if that happens. So the director of the Vesuvius Observatory, the purpose of this observatory is to closely monitor Vesuvius, of course, and Campi Flegrei. And we've heard in my last video about Campi Flegrei. As scientists, check this out as well, guys. If you're new here, it's really educating. That guy, he has worked for over 40-50 years watching Campi Flegrei and Vesuvius. He's an expert. He has worked for the universities in Italy and the Vesuvius Observatory and for the Italian National Institute of Volcanology and Geology, and he's still active there. And he said, last week he said that, when I see what's happening there, if I had the resources to do it, I would evacuate now. So look at the fishing town of Pozzuoli. That's the most affected area. There's several 100,000 people, 500,000 people, depending on how you determine the greater Pozzuoli area. But greater Naples area, we're talking about 3 million people. And plus, if there is an eruption that starts in the sea, water mixes with magma, it's going to be explosive. So researchers from New Zealand, they have made like a forecast, and they're saying there could be 100 feet, like a 30-meter tsunami wave coming towards Naples. So that, in addition to a volcanic eruption, that's bad enough. And for example, I just give you an example, the red zone that's around Vesuvius, that's roughly 700,000 people. They call this the red zone. If Vesuvius has an eruption, they're saying it'll be fatal for these people in the red zone. They won't be able to evacuate. So Campi Flegrei, people are settling right on. Look at these aerial pictures. You see these little holes in the surface that look like bombs were thrown there in the past, or, you know, asteroids were hitting the earth. So that's how it looks. But if you're on the ground, it looks like a hill, and the next hill like a gently rolling landscape. And that's why people are settling there, and that makes it so dangerous. And as it's spanning 100 kilometers, basically it can come up anywhere in this area. So director of the Vesuvius Observatory has just said about this earthquake swarm that just started on May 20th, and it's still happening. It's May 21st in Italy, still happening as we speak. So we're roughly 200 earthquakes or even more. So that new seismic swarm, with the first shock, with the first earthquake, hit the northern area of the Solfatara, how they call it, in Naples at 7:51 p.m. European time. So the director, his name is Mauro Antonio Di Vito, he explained it in an interview. And then another strong event hit them on the night between the 20th and May the 21st. And it cannot be ruled out that there will be another strong event. So look at what the Vesuvius Observatory has released here. This graph shows you the seismic waves, shows you how intense it got all over a sudden. And we have an earthquake magnitude 4.4, which is high for volcanic activity. So the Italian news, they call it that Naples has been hit in the last few hours by at least 2 violent, is how they call it, violent earthquakes. The first one had the magnitude 3.5, and then the second one 4.4, guys, on the Richter scale. And they're saying this is certainly a seismic swarm that is still ongoing. You see this here on the map. We had one here at 3.5 at the northern area of the Solfatara. That was the epicenter. And the area where there has been the greatest frequency of earthquakes lately. So this is an area that has been rumbling repeatedly. So something's going on there. So residents were already shaken by the 3.5. They felt it. They were scared. They were leaving their homes. And as I said, these are old homes, old stones. So the stucco, everything, roof shingles might fall. They're prone to collapse. And whenever there's earthquakes that magnitude, there is damage already. So the residents had abandoned their homes to take refuge on the street at about 8:10 p.m. They were out on the street, and then there was another shock of magnitude 4.4, and that is huge, huge. And the epicenter still in the Campi Flegrei area. So the scientists say that with these two very large events, they're saying very large, we will certainly have many others. They're saying the tremors will continue, there's no doubt, and it is not excluded that it will continue and that there will be another big event. And let's have a look at this while we speak. They're speaking about the origins of the seismic event, and they're saying there is no doubt. There's a strong relationship with the deformation of the ground, which has accelerated recently in this last period. So this is called bradyseism. The ground is lifting up, the ground is rising, like it is in Iceland right now underneath the Blue Lagoon. Why is it rising? Magma's filling up, magmatic fluids are getting into the soil, gases are coming up. And if you look at that sketch here from the study that I just mentioned, check out my video about that. So they're explaining it, right? There have been magma rising events in the past, in the 80s, but basically if you look at the crust, it's rising right now and it has accelerated, so it seems something's getting stronger, something more is happening. So there is a layer of like bedrocks that have kind of keep a lid on everything. But the problem is these bradyseisms, there's events of land rise, land subsidence, land rise, land subsidence. The crust gets brittle, and it's a matter of time until these rocks are so brittle that the magma can come up. Magma always takes the way of least resistance. So the land there has been rising with 2 centimeters per month. That's a lot, guys. I don't want to get into deep details what that all is. Check out my other videos about this. I'll put the links in the end screen because we want to talk about the current events and what the news are that are coming out of this area. If you look at this clip here, how the residents are reacting, right? That's scary. And that's not the only clip that they have released in the Italian news. You can see here people in front of their homes, people on the streets, and you can even hear the sound. It's scary, right? So, and you have to understand, again, these tremors were felt throughout Naples. We're talking about more than 3 million people. If you take the Vesuvius area, Pozzuoli areas, more than 3 million people who felt this magnitude 4.4 earthquake. And there were many in the magnitude of 3. So it's not that we only had these 2 events and then the rest was microseismic. The other ones were fairly large as well. So listen to this. Tuesday, May 21st, the most energetic earthquake shook with a magnitude of 4.4 at 8:10 p.m. And this earthquake, and that's why it's so significant, this earthquake is the strongest in the last 40 years, 4 decades. After the bradyseismic crisis that they already had in the 1980s. And then it was also accompanied by a 3.5. And then another 3.9. And then another 3.6. So this is the magnitude of this. Epicenter in this Solfatara area that you see here at a depth of only 3 kilometers. So they're saying that that's as of now. They know that with 2 buildings that have been evacuated in Pozzuoli, there have material has fallen to the ground. The cracks in the buildings have developed. The fire brigade is out there checking the buildings. There were landslides in the Arco Felice area. The schools are closed today in Pozzuoli, in Baccioli, in Quarto Monte di Procida, and in some neighborhoods of Naples, in the western area, and in other municipalities that are in and around the Phlegraean fields, the Campi Flegrei area. So this is nothing minor, guys. There is panic, that's for sure. That's what the Italian news and media are reporting. And there's also a conference going on by the Metropolitan Mayor Gaetano Manfredi to talk about this situation. And that's what I like about the Italians, you know. I sometimes say I'm Italian too. If I'm upset about something, I'm like, ooh, right? So they go after the politicians right away. They're mad. So they're saying the earth is shaking. We are in the presence of a strong and continuous seismic swarm, and there's a lot of concern among the people in Naples and the surrounding municipalities. And then they're saying, now they're giving him shit, this mayor. They're saying, we wonder how it is possible that the mayor of Naples is not physically in the area, in the municipality. How can that be, right? So the Italians are like right on it. And not only that, they're saying he's not physically in the area and he does not constantly inform the citizens. He does not keep Palazzo San Giacomo open and operational, and above all, does not close all the schools in this city, only in some neighborhoods. Why? My guess is they don't want to create a mass panic and maybe people starting to flee, because then everything will be clogged and it'll. That's my estimate, because like weeks ago, they already started to plan for mass evacuation and they were realizing, gosh, it's not working. We need days to evacuate that area safely. You usually don't have days. Once an earthquake swarm starts, that if it is the earthquake swarm that comes before an eruption. So we've seen it in Iceland. The eruption came all over a sudden. The sirens started after the eruption. There's tourist videos from the Blue Lagoon evacuation, for example, that you can see here, just to make it clear. The technology and the science is not really progressed. So if eruption did start first, and then the sirens, and then evacuation, it took them about 45 minutes to an hour to evacuate that Blue Lagoon, and that was not a violent eruption, right? But here, this is a total different animal, because so many people live so close. Like in Iceland, the fishing town of Grindavik so far has only been threatened by lava flow, but that gave the residents enough time to evacuate, although they had wide open cracks and sinkholes in their roads the night of the first earthquake swarm. And it might have another eruption right in the city at any minute right now. So subscribe to my channel to learn more, and please guys, leave this video a like before I continue. That would really help to push this out to more people. So mayor is getting shit, and I think, yeah, people are right. He should be there for them, because the seismic swarm's still going on. That is scary. And the main person who is giving this shit to the mayor is a former mayor of Naples, Luigi de Magistris, and he says basically, you know, the only news that we hear from the current mayor is that he wants to hold a press conference tomorrow, and that is disconcerting and that is worrying, because the earthquake swarm, it gets worse and worse. You can't just say, well, later, let's talk about this later. No, people want to know, should we evacuate? Should we leave? Is it safe? Can we go back to our homes, right? The news are coming in as we speak, like supermarket goods on the floor, cracks in houses, gas leaks. That is risky. This is the damage of these Brady seisms, of these earthquake swarms in Naples, and we're getting more videos and videos from people that have filmed it, right? So the damage caused by the earthquakes that have been recorded in this greater Naples area with the epicenter at Campi Flegrei, it's still underway, and we're seeing supermarkets in Pozzuoli here. That's the closest larger community at the Campi Flegrei. So the earth continues to shake, right? And right now we already have at least 4 of these strong earthquakes that have shook the earth there. Probably more already. And the residents are reporting that there is a lot of damage. And it's been recorded by residents and rescuers as well. So at least 4, I think rather 5 over magnitude 3, 3.5, 4.4, 3.9, 3.1, all in Campi Flegrei. And all the Italian media are speaking about violent earthquakes, right? Residents are reporting they have in their closets, in their kitchen, broken plates, broken glasses in some homes. You see sidewalks where like shingle and stucco has fallen down. So if you're out there walking and the roof shingle hits you, that's also, that's dangerous already, even without an eruption. So there's even some reports that are say the earthquakes, or some of them, were only at a depth of 1 kilometer, only 1 kilometer deep. And that's why the residents could feel it so badly. And you have to understand, the 4 major tremors that we're talking about, they happened within 6 minutes after each other, right? So basically 6 minutes of trembling. So many people are preparing to stay or just to spend the next night outside in their cars. This is crazy. You see a picture here where people are on the street and authorities, there's a gas leak, right? That's dangerous as well. So what they're doing in Pozzuoli now, they have set up like tent cities for the residents and in town squares, and they have cleared out buildings because if this continues, the buildings might even collapse. So they have set this on the Coping Bridge, the Piazza Amare, Pala Trincone, Monte Ruschiello, and Via Napoli. And you can see someone took a picture. It looks a little bit like chaos. There's cars all over the place. There's people all over the place. So basically, the reports of damages, it comes, basically the damages and the biggest problems is like, if you look at Pozzuoli, it's a radius of 20 kilometers around these epicenters that is most affected by damages. So that reaches almost to the foot of Vesuvius. I wonder what this guy has to say about this. Shaking Vesuvius. Not that this guy is waking up. That's the last thing we need, is that we're dealing with Campi Flegrei and then that guy comes and says hi and spits something out. We don't really need that, right? Also, there's report from the island of Ischia. I mean, no wonder Campi Flegrei stretches underneath. And what they're also saying is, what basically many people are saying, that these tremors, they were strong and they lasted significantly longer than the usual tremors that they usually had in this Campi Flegrei area so far. So they say one tremor, one person there reports that she thinks it's about 20 seconds. That's quite long. What experts are saying that these tremors are probably also accompanied by an acceleration in the ground uplift again. What is raising the most concerns is the location, the epicenter of these strong tremors, because it is right beneath the Solfatara crater, where we already have the fumaroles coming out, these steam vents, hot volcanic steam. And they have also detected that steam was getting hotter and hotter recently. And residents have reported something weird is going on. All of a sudden, the scientists are appearing in that Solfatara on a daily basis, which they hadn't done before. So something's going on, and scientists and municipalities, they are concerned. But how it is. They don't want a mass panic because they know they can't evacuate anyways. But should you say, it is hard, right? Is this a seismic swarm that will cause an eruption, or is it not? Should they preemptive start an emergency evacuation of over 3 million people or not? They already started thinking about this a few months ago, where they would put people in what other municipalities in Italy if they had to evacuate. But the problem is not where do you put them. will you be able to get them out in time? So guys, stay with me. As I just said, if you're new here, please subscribe. Please give this video a like to help me a little bit with my channel to get this going. And guys, thanks so much for the coffees you're giving me. It's badly needed right now to keep awake to two volcanic systems that are rumbling right now in Iceland and here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thanks for your supers, for your wonderful comments, and for your daily support by just being here and watching my channel. And if you're new here, I'd love to earn your subscription. So I'd love to see you again on a daily basis, having a coffee together. This is empty. I have to refill it. I made a big thing of cold brew. It's in the fridge behind me, so I can always get my fix if I need it. So thanks guys, I'll keep you updated about what's going on there. Let's just hope that the lid will hold. And on the other hand, any second something can happen in Iceland. Check out these videos here in the end screen in the meantime. Thank you so much guys. Bye bye.